Hey guys, be sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram for extra content you won't see here. Click the links in the description below. Hey, what's up guys? Eagerbrother94 back again here with another action figure review. Today we're going to look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Majin Buu figure. This is super exciting for me, super stoked about finally getting a Majin Buu after all these years, almost 7 years. I don't even know how long they've been going, I think 7 years or more with this line, and we are just now getting Majin Buu. So as you see, here is the front of the package. We have a huge packaging. I mean, this caught me off guard. I was expecting a big figure, but I wasn't expecting such a huge box like this, and he is quite large, so I mean it's necessary for this figure, but I definitely was not expecting it to be this big. I mean, pictures really don't do it justice. They don't really show how really big it is until you actually get it in hand and see it for yourself. So it's quite massive. It makes you feel good about the purchase, that's for sure. On one side of the package we get a clear window view of the side of the figure there, and Majin Buu at the bottom. And on the other side there is a little collage here showing Majin Buu in some various poses. On the back side we get our standard promotions here for the figure. Got some different poses, and we get some English and Japanese writing on the back. Alright, so I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited, so let's get them out the box. Alright guys, and before I start this review, remember that you guys can check out agelessgeeks.com. You can pre-order your SH Figuarts there. Not just DBZ, but a lot of other figures too, including Mezco and some other lines too. So check it out. I'll go ahead and provide the link down in the description below. So at this point, a lot of characters are long overdue to be made in this line, but this one specifically, Majin Buu, is super long overdue. I mean, they should have made a Majin Buu a long time ago. We've gotten 3 Cells and 2 Friezas, and we haven't gotten Majin Buu until now. So it's crazy, but we finally got him, and it's well worth the wait. I can tell you guys, this figure looks fantastic all around. Right now you can see he doesn't have his cape attached. That is separately packaged in the box, so we'll take a look at all of that in a sec. So Majin Buu comes with the 2 fists packaged in the box. Then we get 2 pointing hands, and then lastly we have 2 grabbing hands, and these are specifically made to grab the chocolate bar that he comes with. And then here we have the chocolate bar he comes with. Very cool. It's already unwrapped, and half of the chocolate bar is already exposed. And just like that, there you go. That's fits on very nicely, very easy. No difficulties there. It just sits perfectly. I like how the wrapper kind of wraps around his hand as well. It's pretty cool. Then we get an even happier Majin Buu here with his tongue sticking out, looking like he's ready to eat some ice cream, some pudding, or some chocolate. And then lastly, we have the iconic evil, angry Majin Buu face right here. Very cool. I love this. If I had one gripe, it would have to be, I wish he came with some steam effects, molded onto a head. Maybe another angry head with the steam coming out of his head. I was curious about the heads. They do pop in and out very nicely. We get this ball joint there, very small, and on the inside of the head you can see it's mostly hollow, and there's a little peg hole right there. And the figure itself is mostly hollow, but even so, there's some significant weight to the figure, even though it's hollow on the torso. It's mainly down here where the weight is. Then we get his cape, which is broken in 3 pieces here, which you have to peg into some peg holes on his back, so you can see how the pegs look like there. There are some screws here maybe to support it a little bit more, so that makes the joint or the hinge on here a little bit tighter, which is cool. So let's try it on and see how it looks. Alright, here we have Buu with the cape all attached, so it took a little bit of time. You want to do it right, and you should hear a little pop or snap when you apply it. One of them did not, so maybe not all of them do, but this is how it looks. It's not too bad. It did kind of scare me when I first saw it. They first showed the 3 pieces in one of the recent conventions, maybe it was SDCC, when they had it on display, and it was, it was weird when you saw it in 3 pieces. But when you display him standing up, it's not gonna be like that. You just do it together and you're fine. I wonder why they chose to do this way. They could have done one solid piece and just had it like that, but maybe to have some display options for it to kind of wave to the side, because you can kind of rotate these They're on a little rotation there and on a hinge, so maybe that could be a reason. But for the most part, it's not too horrible. You know, it's not too bothersome. It's on the back of the figure anyways. His head's gonna swivel left and right. And now he does have a neck too. So we get a neck there, so he can look up nicely. You know, that's a surprise. And then he can look down, of course. So we get a good range of motion at, you know, on this head that you wouldn't really expect it. So I like that. That's nice. And then we do get a arm that goes forward and back. They go in and out. So good, pretty good range. We have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. We have a swivel at the wrist, and it does hinge. This is just a ball joint for the wrist, but there is a good range of motion all the way around. So that's nice. It doesn't really need a hinge. Then onto the torso, we get the torso over here on the waist, which is nicely hidden too, of course. So you can't bend him forward, and then you can go back, and it does swivel at the waist right there. So you got a good little diaphragm joint at the waist. Now the legs. The legs, I personally like this choice by Bandai Tamashii. This, in my opinion, is the only way, the only thing they could have done for them to articulate this Majin Buu figure, because that was something that was in my mind years ago when I was like, how would they do a Majin Buu Figuarts? I mean, it would be so fat. He wouldn't be articulated at all. You know, that was my fear, but they really worked around that, and this was their solution, and I like this. A lot of people are kind of, some people are hating on it, saying that it looks like a diaper. Whatever, it doesn't, you know, it's, yeah, you see the big cut there, okay, but it really doesn't bother me too much at all, and we get a good range here. So we get the legs going forward all the way, then we go back, good there, and then it goes in and out, so he can pretty much do a split. So in and out's nice. We do get a thigh swivel up there. We get a 90-degree bend on the knees, ankle that hinges forward and back. We get an ankle pivot. It swivels, and we get that toe hinge right there. And before I forget, because it almost slipped my mind, is he does get these butterfly joints that Bandai's been doing, or Tamashii's been doing on their figures, so it allows him to move the arm closer in. I love these, so I'm glad they're implementing these in more figures, so that's nice. So because of this brilliant articulation they chose to do on the legs, he can sit down, bend his knees, so he's sitting on his butt right there with his knees bent, or if you want, just have him lounging with his legs just spread out right there, and you can also lay him down like that. You can spread the legs a little bit too if you want. You do see a little bit of a gap, or not a little bit, more of a, you know, a huge gap right there. They did try to cover that with some more, I guess, garments or whatever. You can see the sculpt kind of goes through. So they tried there. It's not just hollow and you can see inside. So that's okay. But it does look better when you have it kind of concealed. That's the only kind of ugly part. But you can do this with him. You can have him do a split like we showed earlier. If you so wish to have him do a split, you can do a split too. So for the most part, he does stand pretty well. But the back heaviness does come into play when you want to kind of pose him a little bit more dynamic, and that goes when you're trying to bend the knee. So right now he's leaning against the wall back here, so I'm kind of cheating, but he cannot really, you know, he's gonna fall back. There's really no way. You can lean him as forward as possible, but then he's gonna look pretty awkward. But if you want to bend the knees and get him into kind of like a fighting pose, it's very difficult without a stand. So this might be when the stand comes into play. And unfortunately, he does not come with any stands included, which is quite odd for such a big figure. Alright, and he's literally hanging by a thread, but I managed to bend his knees a little bit and get him to stand up without using the back wall. So, let's see if I can get him this way. Yeah, he's going to fall back now. Yeah, he was, like, literally you can blow on it and he was going to fall over. So, very difficult, but I did manage to get something. There you go. Alright, so it's time to get some size comparisons in here. I'm going to get in Majin Vegeta. That's pretty fitting. So this is the most recently released Majin Vegeta, and he is very small compared to this Majin Buu. This is a very larger figure, as you can see already, and there's a good sense of that right there. We'll get in a little bit of a taller figure. We'll get Vegito, the new Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, which does stand taller slightly than the Vegeta if you're looking at their heads. So you can see there how he stands next to Majin Buu. There's the new A Saiyan Raised on Earth 2.0 base Goku figure. So we're gonna cross Dragon Ball with Dragon Ball Z, and here's the Master Roshi Dragon Ball version next to Majin Buu. So we all know how big of a figure Broly is, and this is where you really get a sense of how big this Majin Buu is. Really, you know, height-wise, of course, he's shorter, but I mean, look how big he is next to Broly. It almost makes Broly seem like a regular size figure. So I love the scale of Majin Buu. He's a big fat guy. He's huge in the show, and this is how he's supposed to be. So I'm glad they made him this way. They made him accurate, and I believe it's just right. You know, imagine if he was too small, how awkward that would look. And yes, I'm doing it. I'm comparing it next to the Irwin Majin Buu figure. This, I guess, if you are thinking about domestic releases, is our only Majin Buu figure that we had attainable for us. I know there's a lot of other series that Japan releases and a lot of odd statues and stuff like that, but as for action figures, this was it. You know, this was the Majin Buu we had to deal with for many years. And first and foremost, excuse all the scratching on this figure. This figure's beat up. Just to give you guys a quick look at this figure, I mean, very small. Obviously, it does not scale with any of the SH Figuarts figures. He's just too tiny, so you could never display this guy there. But take a look at the articulation. This is what I was afraid of, what maybe we were going to get with Figuarts, the lack of articulation here, especially the legs. So they made the pants here a very soft plastic, and then the only articulation on the legs was just that little rotation there. It would swivel. There's no knee joint, there's no ankle joint, nothing like that. So really not articulated at all. How could you complain about the articulation or how this looks right there? I mean, this is the only way they could have gone. And one last comparison here, we'll get him next to the Master Babidi. This is the Irwin version of him, since we don't have a Figuarts Tamashii version. He's on a rock right now, so let's get him off and have him stand next to him. I think that's pretty good. Even though the Irwin Majin Buu was small for Figuarts, I think this Babidi is pretty good for this Figuarts Buu until we get an official one. This is not bad, you know, he's a very small guy, and I think he stands just about right. I did just look at a picture from the show, a screenshot, and he stands about around that area of his waist / leg or whatever. So I think the height is pretty good, and this is a good alternative right now for you guys to display your Majin Buu with Babidi to get the Irwin version. Also want to show real quick that you can get Majin Buu into a flying pose, which is pretty cool. This is just very fun. You can get him to look up good enough to the point where you can get him to fly forward. Alright guys, and that does it for my review of the Bandai Tamashii SH Figuarts Majin Buu figure. And guess what? I got him into a pose, bending his knees, and he's not falling over. I tried to do a little bit of a walking pose here. Hopefully it came out okay. But he's balanced. I love this figure. Really do. You know, aside from the fact that he can fall over in some poses, you can't get him into everything because of the weight. That's it. I mean, this is the definitive Majin Buu figure. There's nothing better out there. There is nothing better. It's not a web exclusive, which is a great thing. That leaves room for reissues, leaves room for more stock. But all these news about Bandai Tamashii allocating their supplies, you know, who knows what's gonna happen. So hopefully that gets fixed. Anyways, that's it for the review. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go get some ice cream, candy, and chocolate now. Leave a like down below. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, guys. And as always, have a great day.